What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Too Pop to Handle. I'm your host, Andrew Nucatola, your pop culture best friend, and as always, I hope you guys are having a fabulous week. I have been so excited to come on and chat with you guys because I had such a fabulous Saturday night. I finally got to see Sunset Boulevard on Broadway. It's been open for months. I'm very late to the party. However, it did not take away from the fact that it was a fabulous production. I absolutely loved it. It is currently starring Nicole Scherzinger and Tom Francis. So literally the Pussycat Dolls, like, hello. It was so good. I will say it's one of those shows that makes you think. If you like to go to theater and like sit down and just like unplug and not think about what's going on stage, this show might not be for you. You'll still enjoy it because like the vocals and the production and just like it's really heavy on lighting design and camera work versus like telling a stage play show. I don't want to give too much away, but there's essentially no set, and all it relies on is the stage production with like the lighting and the camera work. I won't really say much more than that in case anybody wants to go in blind, because I went in pretty much blind, and I'm so glad that I did because it just added to the experience. It was phenomenal. Nicole's vocals, like, of course, I'm a gay man who grew up in the early 2000s. I adored the Pussycat Dolls. I knew she could sing, but my God, hearing her in this role was unbelievable. The way her voice filled that theater was truly unreal. And again, like, she's been on Broadway before. She was in the production in the West End, and like, we know she can sing. She has phenomenal vocals. I was blown away. Also, Tom Francis, his vocals were unbelievable. It was just such a wonderful production. It's actually a SeatGeek show too. So if anybody wants to go and wants to save a little bit, you can use code 2POP to handle and save $20 on your tickets. But it was unbelievable. If you are in New York or you're coming to New York and have any inkling of wanting to see it, I do believe it closes in June. So you have a few months to go see it, but tickets were not that expensive. You can get them for a pretty good deal. We sat way up in the back. We were like second, maybe third to last row, and we had totally fine view. You can get the cheap seats. It is worth it. It was such a good show. I was so excited to come on here and tell you guys because I was like, I've been itching to go see it. You guys know I love a good Broadway show. I love a good theater moment. And I feel like this is one that everybody's talking about for good reason. It was phenomenal. And also this weekend, another fabulous moment of my weekend. I had a really great weekend, actually. Like, it was a very solid, very productive, very like equal parts fun, equal parts work, equal parts pleasure. Like, it was a solid weekend. But that being said, another fabulous thing I did this weekend was recorded a special bonus episode of the podcast for you guys. I broke down Lady Gaga's newest album, Mayhem, track by track. I went into the lyrics, I went into the production, I went through all of like the secret meanings that I'm getting from the songs, and I kind of tied in like all the press she's been doing and kind of finding like the themes throughout the album. It was my first album breakdown episode of the year, and it's so much fun to do those episodes. I only have done 4 of them. That was my 4th one. And I definitely want to do more this year. I feel like this year I'm really trying to like amp up my content. So, you know, just like my creator goal side, but like I definitely want to do more album review and analysis videos because they're just fun. I already kind of analyze albums when I listen to them for the first few times. I like to really like marinate in the music and in the lyrics and whatever. But when I get to do it for an episode, it's not just in my head. So I'm not just like having a conversation with myself. Well, I guess I am having a conversation with myself, except I'm just doing it into a microphone and people are listening on the other side. Because like, you guys can't respond. However, I would you guys know I'm an album guy. It's like I love a single here and there, but I really look forward to like a full rounded body of work. And Mayhem is just unbelievable. I love it. I still have not taken it off repeat. The entire album is already in my top 100 most played songs of the year. So clearly I am eating it up, and it is just kicking off like the pop girl album cycle in a fabulous way for me. So if you are interested, go check that out. It is on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Substack. You can find it pretty much anywhere podcasts and videos are available. I have it up everywhere. Go check it out. I think you guys will love it. I had so much fun doing it. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for my weekend. It was, like I said, it was fabulous. Go see Sunset Boulevard, go listen to my Mayhem episode, and tune in for this show because we have a fabulous show ahead of us. If you cannot tell by the title, we are chatting all about the new rules that Billboard is rolling out. They actually rolled out a few of them already, but the rest are rolling out in April in just a few weeks. And if you've been listening for a while, you know how I feel about the marketing and sales tactic of releasing multiple digital versions of an album with just one extra song on it. I fucking hate it. And these new rules are kind of abolishing that in a sense. So I'm really excited to dive into that and kind of give you guys my thoughts on where the music industry is going with these new rules. But you guys know the drill. We have some other things to chat about before that. So let's dive in. And you guys know we kick off every episode with our Drew releases, our new music releases from last week and the new music releases coming up this week. Kicking it off with probably the most highly anticipated single from last week. Chappell Roan has finally released The Giver. I feel like we have been waiting for this song forever, and it is finally here. It is finally ours. And I say it was the most anticipated, not just because of the hype around it, but numbers don't lie. This song had 6.9 million streams on its first day of release on Spotify, making it the largest number of streams one of her songs has ever received in a single day on the platform. So clearly, the girls and the gays were ready for The Giver, and I cannot blame them. We are putting the cunt in country. Our Midwest princess is putting on her cowboy boots, and she is taking a stab at a new genre. Now, she did say that she is not going full country for whatever this new album cycle is, but she just wanted to dabble in it a little bit. And you know what? I am all for genre bending. Play a little bit, see what you like, see what you don't like, play around with it. And you know what? You can at least say you did it, you tried it. If you don't like it, move on. But clearly people are liking it. I don't think this is opening up a country door for Chappell, but it is fun for her to say she had her like Joanne Cowboy Carter moment and kind of, keep the ball rolling. But yeah, like I said, we're putting the cunt in country, and this song is a huge win for the lesbians everywhere. And I love that for them. It is what you guys deserve. You guys needed a new lesbian anthem, and I'm so glad Chappell was able to provide that for you. It is very clear what this song is implying. She is the giver and she's looking for her taker. You don't have to tell her how to get the job done because she always gets the job done. And you know what? We love to hear it. Good for you, Chappell. Keep up the good work, both in the industry, both in your private life, and keep it up. I am so excited to see what is next for this album cycle. She sounds great on the album, and it's the first single we're getting from her since Good Luck Babe, which is actually crazy to think about because the year that she had last year, like she released Good Luck Babe almost a year ago now, I would say. It came out, it was April. It was actually my birthday weekend last year when it came out. So yeah, it was the first weekend of April. So now we finally get this new song. And the fact that she only released one song last year and had the year that she did, granted, Midwest Princess did come out at the end of 2023 or like the later half of 2023, and it was kind of having its moment. But like the way that song took over and it was the only thing she dropped, and now we are 3 months into 2025 and we're getting a new single. I'm assuming we're getting an album at some point this year. Whether or not Good Luck Babe is going to be on the album, I honestly am not sure. It kind of stands by itself very well, but who knows what she has in store for this next album. Regardless, you guys know I am sad and I'm very excited to do an album analysis episode on that because it is going to be good. There are a lot of eyes on Chappell for this next project. So the pressure is on, but I have no doubt in my mind that she is going to deliver because she's the giver and she's going to give the girls what they want. Moving on to the next release. Now, this is an artist, or a group rather, I should say, that I honestly don't usually pay much mind to, not because I don't like them. I think they're fun, they're cool. Like they're just like, I don't listen to them often. It is Haim, but they released Relationships. And I was already interested in this track because of the cover art, which is by Terrence O'Connor, who did like the Crash album art with Charlie XCX. He was like on tour with her for the Sweat Tour, did all the creative direction for the social there. He just like has a very good creative eye on things. So when I saw this cover art and put together that it was Terrence, I instantly was like, this is genius. I need to tune into this track. It is referencing Nicole Kidman, those photos that happened after she filed divorce from Tom Cruise. Now, Nicole Kidman has come out and said that that's not what those photos were, and it was actually her doing like a test shoot for a role. However, everybody knows those photos as the divorce photos of Nicole Kidman, so I'm going to continue to refer to them as that. But as soon as I saw that's what it was referencing on the cover art, I was like, I'm in, I'm sold. And this song is taking over TikTok. It is viral for good reason. I love this song. It is so good. It feels like summer. I can't get it out of my head. It just feels good. They sound great. I love the instrumentals on it. It's just fun. I'm sure you guys have heard it. If you have not, add it to your playlist because I feel the summer vibes. Whenever music, starts to feel like summer, I'm just like, all right, we are moving in the right direction. And this is exactly what I'm getting from this new Haim release. So I am loving that. The next release that we had is somebody who I just cannot get enough of. You guys know how much I love Jade Thirlwall. She released FUFN, which stands for Fuck You For Now. She just does not miss. She has just been killing it with these songs. Single after single after single. That being said, I am a little confused as to what she's doing with these singles. Like, this has to be the 5th or 6th single she's put out, and they're all great. They're all wonderful, but I'm like, you're damn near at an album. Like, when are we going to just get the full album? Or are you just pulling like a Kim Petras where you're going to release a bunch of singles as your debut era and then finally give us a debut album like 3 years into your career? I don't know. Either way, I ate it up when Kim did it. I'm eating it up now. I love this track. I say this in the most complimentary way possible. It feels like it could have been released in 2016 and went crazy at the club. That's how it feels now. And I say that with the highest honor. I love the beat that comes in on the chorus. I love her vocals on it. It's just a fabulous track. She really has not missed once with any of these singles. And I'm ready for a full body project. Like, I want a full rounded album. Like I said at the top of the episode, I'm an album guy. Give us a full album. When she does give it to us, I know it will be good because like even the performances and everything, the music videos, the visuals, everything she's been doing for this solo debut era has been so well done that I have no doubts it'll be great when she goes full-fledged with it. But I'm just like, girl, we're ready. When is it coming? I cannot wait for it. But loving this track. I also love the cover art for this song. It's very simple, close up of her face. Her hands are just in front of her face with these really cool nails. I have like gemstones and like whatever in them. Really, really cool. Very simple, but very effective cover art. She just gets it. I am buying everything she's selling. And yeah, I'm hungry for more. I cannot wait for a full project from Jade. But until then, I will keep these singles on repeat because they are all fabulous. And the final release that we had last week is one that actually got announced literally as soon as I stopped recording last week's episode. I was like, this is the second week in a row somebody has released a song or announced a song, that's coming out on Friday while I'm recording. Doechii did it the week before, and then Lizzo did it last week. However, we got a new Lizzo track, so I am thrilled. We have Still Bad by Lizzo, and she is really leaning into this like 80s female rock pop kind of vibe, and I think she does it so incredibly well. So I am loving this track. And one thing about Lizzo is she's going to drop a song about not needing a man. And yes, I am in a 4-year-long committed relationship, but I'm going to sing it at the top of my lungs every single time. It just always gives me life. And she even said herself that this song isn't necessarily a breakup song. It's a breakup song with the world. She went to Twitter. She actually had a lot to say on Twitter this week because people were just kind of like, not vibing with this song for some reason. Like I said, when her last single dropped, I was like, music is so much more enjoyable when you aren't listening to people on Twitter to get your opinions and like forming your own opinion. Everybody always has something to say, especially about Lizzo. And I feel honestly really bad. I feel like she's really getting like a shitty end of the stick. I'm eating it up. I am loving it. Honestly, fuck what everybody else says because I cannot get enough of these singles. But she took to Twitter and she said that Still Bad is a breakup song with the world. It literally starts with me saying, I'm about to throw my phone away. It's a call to action for the negativity we experience on our phones and how we need to disengage and recenter. The girls that get it. In the music video, I'm literally taking my power back from the birds, Twitter, that tried to keep me down with negativity. Saying my brand of poptimism doesn't work in a post-COVID world is a lazy take, as if I didn't release about damn time post-pandemic. And you know what? I appreciate an artist who will get online and talk their shit and just completely shut it down. She was like, you really want to play in my face right now? Here's the receipts, bitch. I am literally talking about you in the song and you're still not getting it. Like, you're still not understanding the point of why I released this song. and I bid you adieu. She was like, I'm gonna go online, talk my shit, and then I'm logging the fuck off. And I appreciate that. I think more people should take notes from that type of behavior. But loving this song from Lizzo. However, if you guys saw on TikTok, Lizzo and I had a little bit of beef last week, well, a little one-sided beef. I commented on my friend's video and I was like, oh my God, because she went to go see her in LA. I was like, oh my God, I have to go see Lizzo in New York. Like, I'm sold. I have to be there. Lizzo replied to my comment and said, yes, you do. And so I responded. I was like, girl, come through with tickets. I tried to get tickets in the pre-sale, in the general sale. It was like insane. There was like 50,000 people in front of me in the queue, and it was like a 1,200 person venue. I was like, well, it's over. And I replied back. I was like, Lizzo, I will be the loudest, most hype person in that room if you get me a ticket. And I had so many of my friends tagging her in the comments. Everybody was tagging her, had like 90 something comments tagging her in it. Nothing. It was crickets. I'm like, girl, I know you saw this video and I know you could have added at least one person to your guest list. I have one-sided beef with Lizzo, but you know what? She's been through a lot. I'll put my differences aside. It is fine. I actually couldn't even end up going to the show on Sunday because I had so much to do that, like, when I ended up looking at tickets to go, they were pretty cheap, but I was like, you know what? It's not meant to be. I won't go. But I was just like, girl, I know you saw the video. At least reply and be like, sorry, I'm booked. Like, sorry, can't do it. Whatever, it's fine. But that wraps up our releases from last week. Coming up this week, there's only one release on my radar. And when I say it's on my radar, I say this loosely. And it is Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco's I Said I Love You First, their collab album. The reason I say this loosely is because I'm not setting my expectations high, and that's not shade, it's just being realistic. I did love that Gracie Abrams song. I thought it was so good. The first single, it was fine. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. It was just a Selena Gomez song. And I've given you guys my soapbox about Selena before. I don't dislike her. I don't love her. I think she just kind of exists. However, I will tune in because Benny Blanco is very talented in what he does. And Selena, she puts out a bop or two every few moments. So, you know, I will give it a fair shot. I will listen to it. But that is the only thing on my radar for this week. However, I'm sure in the second I just said that, somebody just announced a new single coming out. Stars, it really helps the show so much. I say it every week. Every podcast you listen to says it. Go into the app, give us a 5-star rating. It is the best way to support us, to help us get pushed into the algorithm. And I would just, I would love to know that you guys are loving the show that I'm providing to you guys. And that being said, let's move into our moments from the week that were just too pop to handle. Kind of staying on topic with new music releases. Miley Cyrus is gearing up to launch her new era, Something Beautiful, and I am so excited. On Monday morning, her website went black and it had this new silhouette black and white photo of her with the text that said Something Beautiful above it, which we know from her Harper's Bazaar interview last year that is the name of her new album. She also changed all of her social icons to that same photo, and then posters of that same image with the Something Beautiful text and MileyCyrus.com sort of going up around New York. So she is gearing up for this release, and I am so excited for it. Like I said, she talked about this album in Harper's Bazaar last year. She said it's a visual album that's inspired by Pink Floyd's The Wall, but it has a better wardrobe, more glamour, and is filled with pop culture. She said the visual component of my album is driving the sound. It was important for me that every song has these healing sound properties. The songs, whether they were about destruction or heartbreak or death, they're presented in a way that it's beautiful because the nastiest times in our lives do have a point of beauty. So I'm really curious to see what direction she takes with this from a sound point of view because, Miley is an artist who does kind of give us a different sound with every album. There's always like a common thread, like Miley vibe to it. Her voice is so unique that like any track she gets on, it's just a Miley Cyrus song. It's kind of the same thing we see like with Beyonce, with Gaga. These are artists who are so distinctive in their vocal ability and in what they can do that like whenever they get on a song, it's immediately who it is, whether it's rock, country, more pop, more a little slowed down. Like you can just tell who the artist is. So whatever Miley delivers, I'm sure is going to sound phenomenal. And the fact that there's a whole visual element to this, I'm really excited because she hasn't done anything like that ever. She's done, obviously, her music videos have always kind of been a big deal. I mean, Seven Things was crazy. It like broke the internet when the internet couldn't even be broken because of the whole Nick Jonas photo. And then obviously We Can't Stop, Wrecking Ball. Like, she's had some big major moments. And then, I mean, even Flowers, like, granted, that was the Flowers video was such a crazy time because everybody was like, "Oh, she's wearing the suit that Liam wore to the wedding. She's dancing in the house that her and Liam owned." And like, people were just lying online to like build hype around it. But you know what? It clearly worked because that song did crazy numbers. But Miley is somebody who, she does like to give us something fun and visual when she does. So getting an entire album of visuals, and that's what's really driving it. I'm really, really excited to see what is in store. And I mean, she's had a crazy last 2 years. She won her first 2 Grammys. Flowers, like I said, the success of that song was so crazy. I don't think anybody could have predicted how well that song was going to do. And I just think like she has this new vision and mentality for her music that I'm really excited to see what she has in store. So I cannot wait for that. That is another album I will absolutely be doing an analysis for because I know it's going to be good. I know it's going to be there's going to be a lot to dissect, a lot to dive into between the lyrics, the visuals, like all of it. Very, very excited for whatever is in store for Miss Miley Cyrus. The next moment from the week that was just too pop to handle. We had the iHeart Radio Awards earlier this week, so I'm just going to run through some of the winners and then we'll chat about a few of the moments. We're not doing a full recap, so if I skip something, I apologize. I don't have all night to talk about that with everything else on the plate. So, Artist of the Year, we had Taylor Swift. Song of the Year, the year and Dance Album of the Year went to, it was Charlie XCX Brat, and then 360 was Dance Song of the Year, and then the World Artist of the Year was Tyla. So those are just like some of the categories. There was a bunch of like social driven categories that were fan voted. This is one of those award shows where it's like a fun night. You know, the pressure's kind of off. The stakes aren't too high. Obviously, iHeartRadio is huge and it's a big deal still. Like, it's not nothing, but it's not the Grammys. You know, it's a more fun, laid back award show, very VMAs coded. So we love an award show moment here, but you know, some of them do have a little more weight than others. We're just going to call it what it is. So those were like just the presented regular awards, but then there were some like extra special awards and extra special moments. And the first one is Lady Gaga winning the Innovator Award. It was presented by no other than Doechii, which you guys know I'm obsessed with Doechii. I'm obsessed with Gaga. So this was a big moment for me. I thought Doechii's speech was really, really nice. And the way it just like spoke to the importance of artists like Gaga to the generations that have like grown up with Gaga and all of these artists, you know, Gaga, Madonna, all of these artists who really remind us that like it's okay to be yourself, and they encourage us to kind of go against the grain. And, you know, we're kind of seeing Doechii doing that now. She's really creating her own lane. So I thought this made a lot of sense to have Doechii introduce this award for Gaga. And my mind, there's like rumors swirling around online, which again, rumor, I'm not saying I know this is happening or it's been confirmed, but there's allegedly a Mayhem remix album coming out, which there was a Chromatica remix album that came out. So this wouldn't be the first time Gaga did this. And she's been famous for doing remixes, I mean, so many times. So doing a full remix album wouldn't be the craziest thing. And now I'm just thinking, imagine how crazy a Doechii verse on Abracadabra would be. Like, can we just take a second to imagine how crazy it would be if Doechii hopped on Abracadabra? Oh my God, I can't even think about it too much because I will get very hot and very bothered because it would just be unbelievable. So we will see if that does happen. Again, it's just kind of like rumors swirling around online, but stranger things have happened. So we will see. But moving into Lady Gaga, the actual recipient of the award, I loved her speech. First of all, she was quite literally the lady in red. So don't know if that was intentional, but you know, Gaga is she's a very intentional artist. So wouldn't be surprised if she was trying to be, you know, the lady in red reading the poem up there as per Abracadabra. And she said, on the one hand, I feel like I've been doing this forever, but on the other hand, I'm just getting started. And if you listen to the episode where I broke down Mayhem, I was saying how she's kind of coming into this new era of Gaga. She's in this new headspace, you know, she's out of this like tortured artist moment and she's more just about like the artistry, and like she can create this dark pop kind of music without being in a dark tortured poet mindset. So I think we're really seeing this new evolution and era of Gaga, and I'm very excited to see what is next for her. I feel like she's going to do something Broadway. She's really been teasing that for a while, and when I say that, I mean not starring in a Broadway show, but producing, writing, and conceptualizing like an original show. So I do feel like in the next 5 to 10 years, that's probably what we're going to get from her once Mayhem kind of subsides and she does the tour and she does the whole, you know, rollout. I feel like that's not far-fetched, and I'm very seated for that. Obviously, you guys know I love theater, but I love that she's like, she even said, she was like, you know, I'm 38 years old, and most people think that's old for a female pop star, which is crazy, but I'm just getting started. Like, this is just the beginning of my career. And I mean, look at Cher, look at Madonna, look at all of these icons who came before Gaga that are still touring, still releasing music. Like, this is just the beginning of Lady Gaga, and there is so much more, and I'm so excited to see what comes next for her. She also paid homage to all of her inspirations: David Bowie, Grace Jones, Carole King, Elton John, Lady Starlight, Madonna, Stevie Wonder, Duke Ellington, Cher, and of course, Tony Bennett. And of course, in classic Gaga fashion, she ended the speech thanking and shouting out the LGBTQIA plus community, which she also did at the Grammys, and she does so often, so many times over and over again. And it's just always nice. It always feels like a hug. It's always very comforting, you know. There's a lot of trials and tribulations going on in the world, especially with the LGBTQIA plus community right now, especially the TQIA. Like, there's a lot going on in our community right now, and to just be reminded that we do have these allies on such a bigger level. We know Gaga is always going to stand with us, but it's just nice to be reminded and to like have that shout out on a stage as big as the Grammys, as the iHeart Radio Awards. So I just love that she stays so true to that side of it, and she's never really strayed away from the gays. just call it what it is. Very well deserved. I'm loving this Gaga moment. I think we are witnessing something really special in Gaga's career, a really special moment. And yeah, just we love to see it. My arms are tired because my paws have been up for so goddamn long, but you know what? They're gonna stay up. Next up, we had the Icon Award, and my God, Mariah Carey, quite literally the icon that you are. I know she gets this bad rep of like she's hard to work with, she's a diva. You know what? Bring divas back. I had this moment when I was watching her moments from the show last night when she's like, she can't hide the expression on her face if she tried. She is so it is so evident what is going on in her mind at all times. When she was like, had that tribute and she just like was like looking at Anderson .Paak and like clearly she was like, what the fuck is going on stage? Like she wasn't vibing with it. And like, sure, be a little better media trained and like just be appreciative that you're getting a tribute, but like, that's not Mariah. And you know what? I respect her for it. She went out to accept her award and she was like, how's the lighting? Do I look good? How do we feel about the garment? How do we feel about the outfit? Like, I honestly love the fact that she has never leaned away from being a diva. And granted, people rag on her for it and they're like, ugh, she's such a this, such a that. At least she's true to it. Like, at least she's consistent. And for that, we have to appreciate it. And I'm so glad that she was honored with the Icon Award because that's exactly what she is. She also had a special tribute from Tori Kelly and Mooney Long. Now, lots of conversation online about these performances, specifically Mooney Long's. I'm honestly not that familiar with Mooney Long. I think I'm a little out of that age range of people who listen to her. And if I'm not, and she's not on my radar, I apologize. I think she's very talented. I know she does have a good voice. However, there's certain artists you just don't cover. Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston. Like, there's certain artists that you just don't cover unless you're in a certain caliber of artist. And I would even argue that like Tori Kelly is questionable for a Mariah Carey tribute. However, Tori knocked it out of the park. And I am sure that they tried to get Ariana Grande, but Ariana Grande, she was like, I barely show up to other award shows unless it's for Wicked. I'm sorry. I'm not showing up for the iHeart Radio Awards. And you know what? I don't blame her. She's busy. She's got a lot going on. So Mooney Long, it wasn't necessarily bad. She sounded okay, but I was just like, how did this come about? Like, how do we pick her for this tribute? Again, no shade to her. I'm not trying to diminish her talent. I was just like, that was a choice. And Mariah had her little moment, her little memeable moment, which was very funny. And you know what? Like I said, Mariah is consistent. And for that, I appreciate it. She is always a diva. She is always on in that sense. And let her have it. Let her have her little moments because it makes for fun memes online. And like I said, Tori Kelly also performed. What a vocalist. She is truly one of the special talents that we have in this world. She is just she opened her voice and like magic comes out. She was wonderful. And they kind of set Mooney up. Like the fact that Mooney went and then Tori Kelly went, it would have been worse if it was reversed and like she had to follow up after Tori. However, they probably could have just had Tori do it and like smoothed it along. I feel bad. I don't like talking negatively about people's performances because like I couldn't get up there and do it. And that's why I don't. However, if you're doing a Mariah Carey tribute, those are big shoes to fill. Like, let's just call it what it is, Like, I'm not trying to be shady. It's just, it is what it is. But congrats, Mariah. I'm very happy you got your Icon Award, and maybe next year you'll get the Diva Award because it's what you deserved. And I love to see her still having these thriving moments. Also, side note, I love her and Anderson .Paak. I think they are such a fun little pair. I think it is. I feel like he's obsessed with her. I love the two of them as a couple. I didn't see it coming, but as soon as I realized they were together, I was like, this makes sense. I am so into it. And then the final big moment of the night was Taylor Swift winning the Tour of the Century Award for the Eras Tour, which also coincided with the 2-year anniversary of the tour kicking off, which is very special. And they kept teasing this performance that was a never-before-seen performance from opening night of the Eras Tour. And I was like, you can't really say never-before-seen when there are 65,000 people who sat in that stadium and saw it, not including the thousands of people who were tuned in specifically for opening night on a live stream. Like, yeah, it was opening night and the Eras Tour wasn't as va-va-voom as it became to be by the end of it. But like, using the words never before seen is crazy when quite literally 65,000 people minimum have seen this performance. I just thought that was very strange and like a very weird way to promote this performance. However, it ended up being the opening night performance of Mirrorball, which is one of 2 surprise songs. And now, of course, Taylor Swift breathes and everybody is clowning. I will admit, it did look like she was wearing a snake necklace. I'm pretty sure it was. I didn't investigate it as much because, like I said, I'm not clowning for Reputation Taylor's versions or debut anymore. When it comes, it comes. I'm not doing the mental gymnastics anymore. So yes, it looked like a snake. It probably was, but I'm going to let bygones be bygones. But of course, it came across my TikTok For You page that they played Mirrorball. And when you look at Mirrorball, the time of it is 3 minutes and 28 seconds, which does happen to be the date of next Friday, 3/28. Then people were like, if you add up 3 + 2 + 8, it is 13. I'm not clowning, but if you are, good for you. I hope you're right. I'm content. I have other music coming out that day, Ariana Grande Deluxe Edition. I will be seated for that, and then Reputation will take the next seat. If we get it, great. If we don't, great. We will get it when Taylor wants us to have it. But of course, Taylor Swift, the wind blows a little too hard and sounds like a snake hissing. And suddenly everyone's like, we're getting Reputation. It's always a whole thing. So if you're clowning, good for you. I hope your clown shoes fit. I hope you're having fun at Ringling Brothers. However, I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to wait until Taylor announces it herself because I can't do the mental gymnastics anymore. I can't. I've done it for long enough and I am aged the fuck out of it. That being said, moving on. Our next moment from the week. Oh my God, this moment. Now, there's not much to say about this moment. I literally have 2 bullet points for this moment. But as a gay man, I could not come on this podcast this week and not bring up Bad Bunny's Calvin Klein shoot. My God, is that a man? And am I incredibly gay? Whew, my God. So, me like getting a giddy talking about it. There's something popping up on my viewfinder on my camera. I think it's fine, but I'm not sure what it is. We're still recording. I'm still in focus. However, if something is happening on the camera right now, I apologize. My camera really was like, you're getting a little too horny on the podcast. Let's reel it in. You got to wake it up and get back to business. But that being said, Bad Bunny is the current face of Calvin Klein. And my oh my, is he quite the face, the body, the booty, the whole nine? That is a man if I've ever seen one. They said that this has been in the works for quite some time now, and seeing it finally come to life has been really gratifying. Bad Bunny said, I'm excited and grateful for this opportunity to be a part of this brand's iconic campaign, and getting to shoot it in Puerto Rico made it that much more special and genuine. And I mean, a Calvin Klein shoot is huge for anybody. Like that is like it's like a pop culture staple, you know, for any male really. So, I mean, so many people have done these Calvin Klein shoots and they always make waves. It's always a big news story. And I think Bad Bunny was the perfect person to do this. He just had this huge moment with his album. His residency in Puerto Rico is coming up later this year. I'm sure he'll end up doing a US tour at some point, but I do think it's really special that he's giving Puerto Rico their first dibs at the residency. And yeah, I just wanted an excuse to talk about Bad Bunny in his underwear because my oh my, is that a man? I was like, holy shit. In the video when he shakes his little booty and then he like pulls the underwear down a bit, I was like, oh my God, he is really going for it, Benito. If you haven't seen the photos, which I'm sure you have because they are everywhere, you're missing out. Go Google them because chef's kiss. Moving on. I told you it was quick. I was like, I really don't have much to say. I just need to talk about it because it makes me giddy because he's so fun to look at. Editing Andrew popping in really quick. Something did get messed up on my camera for like 15 seconds going into this next clip. So our next moment of the week that was just too pop to handle. Normani and DK Metcalf are engaged and they got a Vogue exclusive. He had said in the past that when he saw the Motivation music video, he knew that Normani was going to be his wife. So we love a fairy tale ending. It was announced during a press conference after he was traded from the Seattle Seahawks to the Pittsburgh Steelers with a $150 million contract, which like, go off. There was money in that sport. They got engaged in Houston. Normani had no idea it was coming. He told her that they were getting ready for a surprise party for his sister. And she was like, oh my God, I'm in on the surprise. But realistically, the surprise was that she was getting engaged and she was not in on the surprise at all. They said that when they first started dating, they watched the movie Joanna Man, and there's a part in the movie where they mentioned receiving flowers on a Wednesday. So he's been sending her flowers every Wednesday for the last few months to kind of gear up to this engagement, which again, this is just so fairy tale romantic, so freaking cute. Like he knew that was going to be his wife from the music video. He was sending her flowers. They did it in Houston, this big surprise with their families. Such a cute story. And like also like getting a Vogue exclusive, like go the fuck off. I'm obsessed. And the engagement was beautiful. Oh my God. There was flowers everywhere. Her entire family was there. His family was there. Like I said, it was a complete surprise to Normani. I love to see a pop girl with a football star. It just very much gives like the high school kind of, you know, cutesy little, the girl ends up with the boy kind of thing. I love this story. I think it was so cute. And again, the engagement was gorgeous. And the two of them just seem so happy. They seem like they are in such a good place. He actually said he would plan to propose a year ago in Turks and Caicos, I believe. It was right when her album was coming out, which there was a lot of drama around that album release, if you guys remember. So he said it wasn't the right time, and it was kind of just like he wanted to do it at the right time. I love this. I love that the families were involved. I love that she had no idea it was coming, completely unexpected. And I wanted to give our girl some flowers, as did DK, obviously. Love that. Just needed to fill you guys in on Miss Normani. And the final moment from the week that was too pop to handle before we pop into our main point of the show is something that if you've been listening for a while, you know this is a big deal for me. The Freakier Friday trailer is here. Oh my God, I am so excited for this movie. So on Friday, the trailer dropped, which makes sense. It dropped on Friday. It got 100 million views across all platforms in 24 hours, which is pretty crazy for a movie trailer. Like, I don't don't study movie trailer numbers often, but that sounds like a lot of views for a trailer to come out. So this is clearly very highly anticipated. I will say it looks cheesy, it looks tacky, it looks fun. It was supposed to be a Disney Plus release, and then after all the demand and the hype and excitement around the announcement, they decided to move it to theatrical. So of course, when you film something for a streaming service and then you decide to release it theatrical, it's going to be a little, it's going to be a different caliber. However, this movie isn't supposed to change people's lives. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be enjoyable, nostalgic, and just like tell a fun story that we all know and love. Also, Chappell Roan in the preview, I heard Hot to Go and I literally was like, no fucking way. This is so me coded. Like they did this for me. And I filmed my reaction to the trailer dropping. Like I said, it was on my personal TikTok and on the Two Pop to Handle account on Instagram. So go check it out if you haven't seen it yet. I was at work, so I had to like silently react, which almost made it more fun because I really had to contain my excitement. So excited for this movie. And we also had some fun little cameos in the trailer that we weren't expecting. We had Chloe Fineman and Vanessa Bayer from SNL, which makes me think Lindsay might do SNL to promote this movie later this year, which I would be so excited for. I mean, her SNL performance when she did the Debbie Downer sketch and they were in Disney World, truly one of the best sketches in SNL history. It is so iconic, and it is time for Lindsay to go back on SNL. I think it's been long enough, and I think it would be so well received. So I don't know if those are Easter eggs or they just wanted them in the trailer. Regardless, such fun little cameos. But the one that's really making waves is Elaine Hendricks, who is, of course, Meredith Blake from The Parent Trap. Fun, quick, short little cameo. You will literally miss it if you're not looking for her. And there was a lot of people online that were like, oh, is it her? Is it not her? I'm pretty sure we confirmed that it was her now. And what a fun little Parent Trap reunion. We love to see that. So very exciting. Lindsay herself said that this movie has a very strong message between mother and daughter relationships. And I just want people to have a good time with it when they see it, which I think is exactly what we're in store for. It's something that you can just go, have fun, unplug, and just enjoy. It's going to be so fun, so joyous. You guys know I will be first in line for that movie. I cannot wait. It comes out August 8th. We will chat all about whatever else comes out about the movie up until then. I know there's going to be new music for the movie with Pink Slip, so we will chat all about anything Freakier Friday. We will be your number one source here on Two Pop to Handle. So buckle up. I told you guys, prepare to be sick of me with this movie because I truly cannot wait. And that wraps up our moment from the week that were just Two Pop to Handle. Let's get into the main point of the show, which is what is coming of the music industry. Like I said earlier, Billboard is changing the rules for how albums can chart in the next month or so. So on February 28th, this was like a silent rollout that they did. Digital albums sold via an artist, label, or other official web store must now be redeemed in order to be chart eligible. In addition, they must be verified using a CAPTCHA to prevent bots, which I was under the impression that you already had to redeem an album after you purchased it. So this is saying like if you purchase a digital version from like TaylorSwift.com, SabrinaCarpenter.com, you get like a download link after. I thought you already had to download it for it to count, but maybe I was mistaken. I was always told like make sure you download it so it counts for charts. So now it's like they're really buckling down. And I think the biggest thing about this is the CAPTCHA and the preventing the bots, because we see a lot of people purchasing albums in bulk and just like whether it's bots or whatever it may be, and they're not actually redeeming them. So now it has to be an actual person purchasing these and verifying that they're human to count. And then also effective immediately, any D2C, so direct to consumer store with 3 submissions of illegitimate data within a 12-month period may receive a minimum 90-day reporting suspension. So a D2C store would be like TaylorSwift.com, Sabrina Carpenter, when you're purchasing something and it goes directly to you. If they are reporting like fake data, which I guess has been an issue in the past, I didn't know that this was something they were dealing with in terms of like charting. But if they get caught submitting fake data 3 times, it's a 12-month period where they cannot submit for any charts, which is crazy to think that. But also like they're giving you 3 strikes. And if you're giving fake information on your album data anyway, like you shouldn't be charting because that's literally not how it works. Also, physical D2C shipments, which fall outside of established sale trends, will require the reporting store to provide enhanced tracking status along with other info such as geolocation data and if a VPN was used to make the purchase. So they're saying albums can't be purchased using a VPN. That way fans overseas can't like artificially boost the sales. That's another thing people are doing. They're like tapping into a VPN when they're overseas and purchasing these albums. And then that counts towards US sales when the person actually isn't in the US to count towards those sales. So they're buckling down on who's purchasing them and where they're purchasing them and making sure that data is as accurate as possible. And then April 4th, we have a lot of really interesting rules kicking in. So there's a few weeks before these kick in. But first things first, the minimum price of a digital single in order to count towards Billboard charts will remain unchanged. It will still be a minimum of 69 cents, which that's been pretty standard for a while. So I think the max is $1.29. People usually bump it down to either 69 cents or 99 cents, and that's just for singles. That is staying the same, which I think that's fair. Like that I understand. Now, what gets interesting, the minimum price of physical singles, it will be increasing at all retailers to $2.99 for a CD, $6.99 for a vinyl. The minimum price for all D2C exclusive digital albums is being raised to $7.99. The minimum price of albums at retailers is increasing to $7.99 for a CD, $7.99 for a cassette, and $15.99 for a vinyl. So they are upping the prices on pretty much everything except digital singles. Not that much. I want to say digital albums, were $4.99 before, so now they're getting up to $7.99, which, I mean, that is a $3 difference, so that may deter some people from purchasing them more. And then the CD single previously, I'm pretty sure was $1.99, so it's going up $1 where they have to, if you're buying like one song on a CD, it has to be $3, which, I mean, I don't purchase single CDs often. I do purchase 7-inch vinyls here and there. It's not something I collect often. I do collect regular LPs and like regular vinyls. 7 inches I collect here and there. So those are really the traditional singles that you get in terms of vinyl. So all those prices are going up. And then on top of that, this is where it gets really interesting to me. So you can only have 4 digital exclusive versions for the life of an album, including deluxe versions. Also, digital D2C exclusive versions cannot be put up for sale during the middle of the week. They either need to be available for pre-order or held to a later week release, which those are the two biggest things to me. So now we're reading all of those rules and seeing like what they're obviously trying to focus on and really stop. They're trying to stop these digital variants from getting released mid-release week of an album's first week to boost it to number 1. You have to release these digital versions either before or after the first week sale. So there's no more of these like Wednesday drops where you get like 4 digital exclusive albums with 1 extra song or a live version or a remix. And every artist does this. This is a very common practice. Sabrina Carpenter, SZA, everybody does this, but I'm going to use Taylor Swift for this example because she has done it really the most in the last year. Granted, Taylor's going number 1 whether she releases 1 variant of an album or 19 variants of an album. So that's why I don't feel bad using her as the example, because she kind of is the one who does this the most, realistically. That's just calling it what it is. She had, I think it was 18 variants for the Tortured Poets department, most of which were just live versions of songs tacked onto the album at $4.99. So you got the entire Tortured Poets department album and then this 1 exclusive song. And now this goes for all fandoms, but people like to variant collect, and whether that means physical or I guess now digital. I collect vinyl and some CDs. I collect CDs for like certain artists, but I don't collect variants. I buy 1 variant of an album and like that's it. But I know people out there buy every single variant of a vinyl, every variant of a CD. People want to have every exclusive song, whether it's a single, whether it's a live performance. Like people do buy every single version, and that is your prerogative. I am not coming on here to tell anybody how to spend their money. I don't care if you buy 15 versions of 1 album. Do what you want. It's not my bank account. Does not bother me. Where it bothers me is when artists do this, it almost feels like they're taking advantage of their fans because they know that these people are going to buy whatever they release. There's a very toxic relationship within stan culture where certain people feel like they need to own every single copy of an album, whether it's 4 copies or whether it's 24 copies. People will buy it if it's for their favorite artist, and artists know that. So of course they're going to take advantage of that. Is it the right thing to do? No. But if they're really thirsty for that number 1 spot, or they want to continue staying number 1 for 4 or 5 weeks, yeah, they're going to do it, because at the end of the day, this is their job. So I get it from a business standpoint, but where I look at these things is like, when you're releasing an album, I look at it as a full rounded body of work. Now, if you are releasing that body of work and you are saying, oh, well, here's more of that album, but you have to buy 4 versions of the album to get the entire bonus tracks of this album, not only are you now making the album feel kind of choppy, because on one hand, there's going to be 3 pools. There's going to be the pools of people who are buying every single variant and hearing all the songs. Great. They're doing it all. They're like the all-in fans. Then you have the people in the middle who might buy 1 version. They're not going to buy all 4, and they're going to hear 1 song, which is fine. And it is what it is. But again, when you think of an album, I think of it as a full rounded project. So if you're putting out an album with 4 bonus songs, but you can only get the 4 bonus songs if you purchase all 4 versions, are you getting the full album, or are you just putting throwaway songs on these albums to give us something to purchase? Like back in the day, back in like the early 2000s and even like the 2010s, like when somebody released a deluxe version of an album, it was a big deal. I mean, look at the Fame monster, Lady Gaga. That is literally an extension of the Fame. It kind of stands as its own project, and it looked at as its own project because it is 7 songs, but it's tacked on to the Fame, and it was a deluxe version. Katy Perry, Teenage Dream, the complete confectionery version. Is that what it was called? The deluxe version of Teenage Dream. It had Part of Me, and it had more songs on it that completed Teenage Dream as an album. When we are looking at these new albums that have 15 different versions of it digitally, plus the deluxe version, plus the double album, plus this, plus that, it takes away the artistry and the idea of a full rounded album, because the masses aren't consuming the entire album anymore. So what I think this really means, and what I'm hoping, is that we're going to get more full rounded projects and go back to that idea of a deluxe version of an album really completing the album and not just being extra fluff to get people to buy it, which honestly, I am so on board with, especially like looking at what SZA just did with Lana. Like, she gave us a deluxe version of the album, but it all came at once. It was a deluxe version a few months later, it tacked on to the album, and it gave us kind of like, it was like 2 opposites with that album. One album sounded one way, one was the other, and it kind of was like this like opposite version. Similar what we're getting with Ariana Grande later this month. We're getting a deluxe version of an album that came out over a year ago now, but she's not doing it in terms of like, okay, well, if you buy from my web store, you get 1 song. If you buy from here, you get the other, and then piece it together. We're getting it as a full rounded project. And I think that is really the way we want to see the music industry going. Like, we want to see, me at least, and I hope people listening to this understand what I'm saying, because as somebody who truly appreciates an album as a full rounded project, I don't want to have to piece together all these bonus tracks. And even if I don't pay for the version, because let's be real, the second those come out, everyone uploads them to Google Drive or TikTok, and you can download it for free. But when I don't want to piece it together, I don't want to have to find 4 songs on TikTok and 1 song on Google Drive and 1 on Spotify podcast because people upload it there. Like, I don't want to have to do the mental gymnastics of piecing together these extra albums when I've already purchased and streamed the album once. Like, I don't want to have to be playing I don't want to be playing a scavenger hunt to complete your album. Give it to me as a full rounded project or keep it. And also the whole new thing where you can only release 4 versions of an album that count towards charts in an album's lifetime, not even just in the first week, in an album's life cycle. So if you release 5 versions, even if that 5th version comes out 5 years later, granted, I don't know if an album's going to chart for 5 years, you really got to be like a SZA, a Taylor Swift. You got to be a big name for that to happen. But if you release that 5th version, it's never going to count towards the chart, which some people might not care about. There are some artists like Ariana Grande, Lorde. I could see them not giving a shit whether their album charts or doesn't chart. They're just going to release it because they want to. But we do have some chart hungry people out there who are hungry for that number one. And you know what? I don't blame them. That is the highest honor in their job. They're making this album. Of course they wanted to sell to number one, but there's definitely some slimy ways that people approach it. So I think now with these rules in place, what we're going to see is a lot more digital versions of albums getting released with the pre-order. So maybe like there's the physical standard version that you can pre-save and pre-order, a digital variant on just their website, or maybe like 2 digital variants on their website for pre-order with 1 bonus track, which still takes away from that full album package that I'm talking about. But I think it at least lets us know what to expect, so we don't have to be like, okay, well, are we going to get 8 more bonus tracks with this album all this time after? And then that idea of like, okay, they release those versions of it. Maybe a few months later, we get that expanded edition, that deluxe version, which is more of that traditional, the Fearless Platinum is expanded that we would get. We would get these expanded, extended albums with extra content a few months later. So it kind of like reminds you of, hey, here's the album and here's some extra stuff for it. Gracie Abrams, actually, she just announced that she's releasing an extended version of her album, came out last year, later this year. So that idea where, we're getting that extended version of the album a little bit later. So it almost reminds you like, hey, here's a project I put out. Here's some fresh new things to kind of remind you that the album is there. So I'm very curious to see like how album rollouts go now. And I really hope it does kind of continue to give us this new idea of how an album is packaged and how we are listening to these albums without going on these scavenger hunts of trying to find every single bonus track, because then it also does exclude fans. There are fans who maybe they can't afford to buy even 1 version of this album. Now they're expected to buy 6. They can't find these songs. So then they go online and they hear about these songs and they can't find them or they can't afford it. And they go to the concert and the artist is singing these bonus tracks and they feel left out because they don't know these songs and everybody else around them does, which of course there's bigger problems in the world. But it just, like I said, there's a toxic relationship within standum and fan communities, which I feel like that's a topic for an episode I should do somewhere down the line because I have a lot of experience in that from Andrew from the past. But yeah, I feel like, it kind of creates this divide in fans because fans get this like idea of like, oh, I'm a better fan than you because I purchased all 60 versions of this digital album and I know every single song, which it's such a warped way of thinking, but it is just kind of the reality of being a fan of somebody, I guess. But yeah, I'm very curious to see like what these new rules mean for the music industry. And they roll out April 4th, like I said. So we're coming up. It's a few weeks away. I don't think we'll really see the effects of it until probably like June releases. I think any album that's coming out in April or May will have their rollout kind of set. And I don't know how much they'll pivot from it. But I do think by like maybe late May, early June, we'll start to see kind of a shift in how albums are being released and like what's getting announced at the album release date versus when we're getting these deluxe and digital versions. So I'm very curious and I'm excited to kind of like go on this ride together on the podcast and monitor the new tactics people are taking. This is like the fun side of music marketing that I love, like seeing the way people do an album rollout, how they like promote things and like what they're doing to kind of keep them afloat in these trying times. So we will, as albums are coming out, we're going to be looking at the announcements and the rollouts a little bit differently with these rules in mind. The one thing I don't love about this, and it doesn't necessarily affect the album charting in the first week because it won't happen in the first week, but the vinyl price. So if an album is less than $15.99, it will no longer count towards charts. And that's in retail stores. So I think like Target, Walmart, any of these stores that sell vinyl and want to like push out their inventory, they'll mark down these vinyls to like $12.99 to just get them out of the store. Granted, that does come a few months after the album is out, so it's not necessarily going to count towards the charts, but it does. It's like, well, what if it, what if somebody purchases it when it's on sale? Again, I guess I'm kind of like solving my problem because again, that won't happen in the first week of sales anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But that is a kind of like a weird gray line. But I guess if they're going to up the price of CDs, cassettes, and everything else, they have to do vinyl too, especially because vinyl is one of the bigger physical forms of media people are buying these days. So I guess they can't do one, two without the other. So it makes sense. But I thought these rules were really interesting. And as somebody who is so immersed and interested in the music industry, I saw these rules and I was like, ooh, we got to do an episode about this because this is the shit that I live for. And like I said, you guys know how much I hate digital versions. I loathe them. I think they just drive me crazy. So I'm very excited to see less of those in the future. And I'm really hoping people stick to these 4 versions. I can deal with 4 because it includes deluxe. It includes, it limits how many times they can beat this dead horse. And I'm very excited to see how this kind of affects music going forward. And that wraps up our main segment of the show. But you guys know I love to yap, so we are not done just yet. We are going right into our TV recap, and we are recapping RuPaul's Drag Race as we do. It is another day in the workroom, and we are talking Ross Matthews versus the Ducks. Now, when they do these acting challenges, and they're kind of like these spoofs on things, they're very hit or miss. They can be very dicey or they can be really great. And this one was great. I thought the writing was great. I thought the girls acted so well in this challenge. I really thought everybody did a really good job. Of course, there's people who do better than others, and we'll get into that in a bit. But I thought all around the writing, the theatrics, everybody did a really, really good job in this challenge. I also thought them diving into the Reality Von Tease joke already, like that was a year ago and they're already writing skits about it. They are so fast. Like the devil works hard, but the RuPaul Drag Race writers work harder. That was filmed last summer and Reality Von Tease aired in January. So they literally heard that and got on it quick. So have to appreciate that little pop culture moment there. And you guys know, I just have to say, Anya fucking Nerve was phenomenal in this challenge. And I mean, spoiler, she ended up winning, which was so well deserved. But like I said, everybody really did a good job in this episode, I thought. But we're at that point where like, if you're not performing at 110%, you're up for elimination. Like you really need to be bringing your A game. Now that this was top 7, we're in top 6 now. Like you've really got to be bringing it because it is neck and neck in this competition. I also thought Anya winning in the end of the episode was such a fun full circle moment because of course in the beginning we had that rotted mirror message from Arietti that was so uncalled for, talking about her bad breath and, the issues that she has a condition. And the fact that Arietti like aired that out and used it to hurt her was so foul and just like so wrong of her to do. So to see her so down at the beginning and still come out on top at the end with her 3rd win, the only queen this season with 3 wins. Yeah, that is my winner. I loved that story arc for her, and it is what she deserved. Very happy to see that for Anya. I also have to give a shout out to Sam Starr. She really has shown us that she has so much talent under her belt. And as soon as the judges gave her that note to say, like, you need to take yourself a little less seriously and not be so polished and buttoned up all the time, she has been soaring since she took that feedback, and she's taking it so well. She didn't get offended by it. She wasn't upset by it. She took it. She applied it to herself because she's still giving us top-notch drag. Like she is still completely polished, but she's just not taking herself so seriously, which is exactly what the judges wanted. And I'm so happy to see that she is taking this feedback and just soaring with it. It's really like, it's showing like when you listen to the judges and you process it properly, you really can like completely shift how you play this game. And she is the perfect example of how to take feedback and apply it immediately and then just like continue to kill the competition. I thought she was phenomenal this week. Really, really standout week for Sam Starr. Going to the runway, it was the black and white ball. So we're just going to go right down the runway in order as we do. First up, Sam Starr, perfect little segue. I really like this look. It was really fun, this little jester moment. It's something new, it was something fresh, but it was still very polished. It was still at that same Sam Starr caliber, where it's very polished, very pretty, everything is perfectly in place, but it was fun, and it was something new that we haven't seen from Sam yet, and she's really been giving us kind of out-of-the-box looks from the first few weeks that we saw, and I'm happy to see that she brought things, because obviously these aren't made in the workroom, she brought things that show her personality, and I think the order of the runways has really been working for her, because we're kind of getting new things from her each week while still seeing her kind of roll out these fun comedic and just like good talents that she has. So great week for Sam Starr. Next up, we had Alana Jarre. This was very fashion. Like this was very off the runway, like very couture, very cool. And I really liked it. And there's the whole joke of her being like, I've never done this before. I didn't realize she said like, this is a new look for me every week, but she really does. And it's so funny to now look back at her past runways and see that. I was cracking up. Angeria called it out on the pit stop. I was fucking dying. I was like, she really does say every week is something new. Anya, I will admit, wasn't my favorite look of the night. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad by all means, but it could have been a little more polished, a little more buttoned up. However, that performance was so killer in the challenge that it was kind of a shoo-in for her. And like I said, she is my winner. She can do nothing wrong. Even when she does something wrong, she still did nothing wrong in my eyes. I adore her. I love her so much. Give her the crown. Next up, we had Lydia. Lydia's drag is so impressive because she really does things that are not easy to do, such as mixing textures and fabrics and things like this. And she does it so well. It is not easy to mix a bunch of patterns and textures and fabrics, but she does it so well. And it always just works. I really, really love this look. I thought it was really cool. Next up was Susie Toot, another really cool look. I love the way it moved down the runway, those like fringy little pieces she had. And also her makeup was gorgeous. Like that kitty cat, she did like the lip and her eye. It was beautiful. That's another queen who she took the note of like not falling into the same hole as doing the same makeup every single week. She took it, she perfected it, and she moved on. And it has just helped her. I think she's doing phenomenal in this competition. Next up, we had Lexi, and I didn't dislike this look. I liked it. It was good, but it just didn't blow me away. And at this point in the competition, like I said, if you're not performing at 110%, it goes into your runway too. You really need to bring it and bring us something like va-va-voom, big. This wasn't bad, but it just wasn't anything crazy. It was nothing we haven't seen before. But she looked great. When doesn't she? And it was good. I did like it. But then we saved the absolute best for last, Jules Sparkles. Now, if you don't know who Hayden Williams is, he is a fashion illustrator on Instagram. A lot of celebrities repost him. He does drawings for Vogue. He's just very like an online persona who does phenomenal art. As soon as Jules hit that runway, I was like, no fucking way did she just bring a Hayden Williams sketch to life, because I recognized the sketch. And of course she did. I loved this look. I thought it was so good. I also thought it was so funny that her and Susie both did a cat look for this runway. Like, what are the odds of that? I loved this. I thought it was phenomenal. I thought she looked great. I thought it was fun. And Jules is another one who kind of keeps us on her toes. We never know what to expect with her runways. She really gives us a little bit of everything. And I was saying at the beginning, her first few runways, I was like, are we going to get Ariana Grande drag every single week? Which I love Ariana, but not every single week. Like, give us a little something different. And she has come through and she's really given us a little bit something different every week. So I do appreciate that. And I loved this look on her. It was phenomenal. We come to find out, as I already said, Anya Nerve is the winner of this week's challenge, which means she has 3 wins under her belt, making her, on paper, the frontrunner in this competition, which is exactly the fantasy that I want to live in. I love to see it. And the bottom 2 are Lana and Lydia, which really shows how much the challenge weighed in this week's judging, because I really liked Lydia and Lana's runways, and I didn't love Anya's, but Anya's performance was so good that it really carried that weight for her to end up winning. So it's interesting to me on Drag Race every season to see like what challenge counts more versus the runway. You know, some weeks they kind of go hand in hand. Some week one weighs more than the other, and this was clearly a week where the challenge was weighing more than the runway. The 2 of them have to lip sync to Unholy by Sam Smith, our guest judge this week. And Lydia Butthole Collins, what happened? Those scissors could have been such a moment, and it completely threw off her entire lip sync. And it was breaking my heart. Not that I wanted Lana to go home. Like, I wasn't like, I was like, oh, get her out. Like, I was fine with either way. But Lydia, she was doing so well with like her Lydia-isms, and she was really being so funny with the limited movement that she had in that dress. For her to take out those scissors and completely self-sabotage herself truly broke my heart. It was like watching Asia O'Hara shake those butterflies on the stage and watching them fall to the ground again. I was like, no, Lydia, come on, because she was doing really well before that. Like, it really was a good lip sync. And then it took such a hard stop, and it broke my heart because it could have been either of their lip syncs. It really could have been. And I think had Lydia not done that, or maybe like pre-cut it or something, it could have given that, that edge of her winning. And it just crushed me. But somebody had to go home. And I do believe I said last week that I thought either Lana or Lydia was next. So either way, I did, see the fantasy. And Lydia did end up going home. So now we have a top 6. We are getting down to the nitty gritty of this season. And I'm not going to recap White Lotus because I don't want to go into it fully, and I haven't been. But I just want to say, give Parker Posey the Emmy now. Just give it to her. Don't even release any other nominations. Give her the Emmy because the acting she is doing in this show is so incredible. She is breathing so much life into this character. It is phenomenal. You could not write the comedy that she is giving us on this show. She is unbelievable. I cannot get enough of her. Also, I'm shocked but not surprised at how well received the incest that we saw on last week's episode is being received online. Like, everybody is like up in arms over this scene, and they're either loving the fact that the brothers made out or they're hating it. And I'm honestly surprised at how much love these two brothers kissing is getting online. I was like, I know we were all joking about it and we all were like, haha, like the brothers have a weird thing. But like, now that they actually kind of made out a little bit, everybody's like, oh my God, I wanted the brothers to go further. I was like, you know that they're brothers, right? Like, I know they're not brothers in real life, so it's not as serious. But I was like, why are you so rooting for incest on this show? Maybe it's just me. I don't know. That being said, that wraps up our TV recap, and we have made it to our final segment of the week, our yes and our mess. My yes being something I am loving, and my mess being something I am not loving. And we always start things on a high note here at Too Pop to Handle. So my yes this week is Miss Sabrina Carpenter. So she is doing her short and sweet tour over in Europe right now. She just hit Paris, and she is just too much. I can't. If you did not see, it was her position for Paris Night 2, I believe. She does this thing during Juno, if you're unfamiliar, which I'm sure everybody listening knows, but it's like the new nonsense outro on this tour, where she used to change the outro to nonsense every night. Now she has a new Juno position every single night, where she says, have you ever tried this one? And she does some performative sex act on stage. It's really funny. Everybody waits for it. It's like the moment of the show people kind of wait for to like get the TikTok and whatever. Now, in Paris, famously known for the Eiffel Tower, she decided to quite literally make the position in Eiffel Tower and have two dancers stand on either side with her bent in the middle between them. And when I saw this photo, the scream that I scrumped, that is the pop star that we all needed in this world. She is so unapologetically herself and just truly does not give a fuck. She has had parents on her neck for months saying, you're too sexual at your shows. Why is my daughter watching this? And she does not give a rat's ass. She is going to bend over on that stage. She is going to spread her legs open on that stage. She is going to get Eiffel Towered in front of your 12-year-old, whether you like it or not. And I love an unapologetic pop star. She is just, I can't get enough of her. She is incredible. I saw that and I was like, she fucking didn't. But of course she did, because she's Sabrina Carpenter and she's brilliant and she is a perfect pop star. Not a single note. I'm obsessed with her. Also, random, but did you guys see the Lollapalooza lineup? Because it's fucking phenomenal. Doechii, Olivia, Sabrina, Rebecca Black, Role Model, Foster the People, Marina. So many killer artists. I'm like, I might have to pull up to Chicago this summer. TBD, we will see. But Sabrina will be there, which is very exciting. And I couldn't get tickets to her MSG shows later this year. So I'm like, well, if I go to Lollapalooza, at least I still get to see her this year, and I don't have to go to the shows in October. Granted, I'll probably still try to go to the shows in October, let's be real. But anyway, moving on to my mess for the week. This is somebody who I have had enough of. And I said I wasn't going to talk about her or her sisters if it gives away any hints of who I'm talking about. But who the fuck thought Kim Kardashian posing with a Tesla robot and a Cybertruck was a good idea? Why are we trying to make Teslas sexy? This was for a magazine shoot. This wasn't even for like an Instagram shocking moment. This was literally for Perfect Magazine. And she is fully cuddling with her Tesla robot and doing like a Sports Illustrated swimsuit pose in the back of her Cybertruck. Why are we trying to make Elon Musk's brand sexy? There's no other explanation to me than they just either clearly are making a political stance, or they just don't give a fuck about anything other than how they look and their image, which honestly, I could see it going both ways. I said it a few episodes ago, I'm kind of done with the Kardashians. I haven't watched this season. I'm honestly not tuned in. I unfollowed them all. And the only reason this came across my desk is because I saw it on TikTok of people being like, guys, what the fuck is going on? Otherwise, I honestly might not have seen it, but I just like, what is the point? Why are you doing an entire editorial photo shoot with your Tesla robot and your Cybertruck? Like, Kim Kardashian photo shoots used to be such a moment. Remember the Paper magazine with the champagne popping and filling up with the cup on her butt? Like, that was so major. When she did the Skims photo shoot with the aliens, when she did the photo shoot, she bleached her eyebrows. Like, Kim Kardashian photo shoots, I used to wait for them to be like, this is so iconic. Now I'm like, why are you cuddling a fucking, even if it was just a robot, it still would be weird. If it was just like a random robot, I'd be like, huh? But you know what? Like she's a little funky, she's a little weird. I would be like, okay, it's weird, but like cool. It's a little editorial. The fact that it's fully Elon Musk's brand and you're just fully endorsing and trying to make Tesla sexy when clearly there is such a divide in our country right now and he is in the middle of it. Very fucking weird behavior. And don't even get me started on the whole Kanye Diddy song thing that happened over the weekend with like the copyright to Northwest's name and him like releasing those text messages. The two of them really are, they're quite the pair. They're not even together anymore. And I'm just like, how the I cannot. Yeah, I think that's the perfect way to end it. That being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Too Pop to Handle. If you liked what you heard and you're listening to us as a podcast, make sure you go ahead and leave us a 5-star rating. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you give us a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment down below. And if you would like some more pop culture moments from the week that were just too pop to handle between podcast episodes, head over to toopoptohandle.substack.com. I send out weekly newsletters in between episodes, which is a few extra pop culture moments that didn't quite fit into the episode. They were a little outdated, but I still wanted you guys to know about it. I'll have everything linked down below. Our socials are at Too Pop to Handle across all platforms, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you name it, I am there. If you would like to follow my personal account, I am at Andrew Nucatola on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, you name it, I am yapping. And with that, I will catch you guys next week. Bye.